When Diocletian became emperor in 284 CE, the Roman Empire was in a sorry state, struggling with near constant military threats, economic turmoil, and internal instability. To address these challenges, Diocletian implemented a series of reforms aimed at restoring stability and strengthening imperial control. One of his most significant innovations was the establishment of the Tetrarchy. This system divided imperial authority among 4 rulers, 2 senior emperors titled Augustus and 2 junior emperors titled Caesar. The goal was to ensure smoother governance over the empire and facilitate more effective defense against both external invasions and internal usurpations. Diocletian himself ruled the eastern part of the empire, while his co-Augustus Maximian governed the west. After more than 2 decades of turbulent rule and constant threats to the empire, Emperor Diocletian and his co-emperor Maximian took the unprecedented step of voluntarily abdicating on May 1st, 305 CE. This moment was celebrated with great ceremony as the 2 rulers, hoping to secure stability for the vast empire, formally handed power to their Caesars. Galerius succeeded Diocletian as Eastern Augustus, and Constantius Chlorus replaced Maximian as Western Augustus. Fresh Caesars were then appointed to succeed them: Maximinus Daia under Galerius and Severus under Constantius, establishing a new tetrarchy order in order to ensure a smooth and orderly succession. Diocletian retired to his palace in Dalmatia, dedicating himself to a quiet life, while Maximian rather more reluctantly withdrew. At first, the empire seemed poised for renewed stability under this system, but things began to unravel quite quickly. The Tetrarchy relied on cooperation and institutional loyalty, which is a nice idea, but in a twist that, looking back, seems almost inevitable, personal ambition and dynastic claims proved far stronger. The final nail in the coffin, so to speak, was the unexpected death of Constantius Chlorus in 306 CE while campaigning in Britannia. His troops immediately declared Constantius' son, Constantine, an emperor, a move Galerius reluctantly accepted, although he demoted Constantine's claim, recognizing him only as Caesar and elevating Severus instead to Augustus in the west. This compromise made no one happy. Meanwhile, Maximian's son, Maxentius, who had been excluded from power, seized the opportunity to declare himself emperor in Rome. Maxentius' rebellion was a direct challenge to the legitimacy of the tetrarchic successors. Galerius responded by sending Severus to suppress the insurrection. But Severus was defeated, captured, and executed, which emboldened Maxentius and his father, Maximian, who came out of retirement, bolstered their cause. Confusingly, both Maxentius and Maximian declared themselves Augustus, further complicating the imperial landscape and increasing confusion about legitimate rule. In 308 CE, the tensions led to an imperial conference in Carnuntum on the Danube, where the emperors Galerius, the retired Diocletian, and the previously retired Maximian aimed to restore order. They agreed to appoint Licinius as Augustus in the west, with Constantine as his Caesar, while Galerius remained Augustus in the east, with Maximinus as his Caesar. Maximian was forced to retire again, and Maxentius was unanimously declared a usurper. I know it's all a bit confusing with the Maximian, Maxentius, and Maximinus, but the key thing to understand is that this agreement did largely nothing to resolve the problem, because Maxentius ignored it completely and continued to exercise power over Italy and Africa without official recognition, and neither Constantine nor Maximinus accepted the authority of Licinius, rejecting their assigned roles in the new hierarchy. The subsequent years from 309 to 312 witnessed a series of civil conflicts that enabled Constantine to consolidate power in the west, and eventually the armies led by Constantine and Maxentius met at the Milvian Bridge over the Tiber River, just north of Rome. On the eve of the battle, Constantine reportedly experienced a remarkable vision. According to later sources, including his biographer Eusebius, Constantine saw a cross of light in the sky above the sun, accompanied by the words, "In this sign conquer." That night, he dreamed that Christ appeared to him, instructing him to make his soldiers' shields bear the Christian symbol, the Chi Rho, formed from the first two Greek letters of the word Christ. Inspired and emboldened by this vision, Constantine ordered his troops to mark their shields accordingly, rallying them with the promise of divine favour as they marched towards confrontation with Maxentius. The following day, Constantine led his army against Maxentius's forces. The battle swiftly turned in Constantine's favour. His men broke through Maxentius's lines, forcing the enemy into a panicked retreat. In the chaos, Maxentius attempted to escape across the bridge, but it collapsed beneath the weight of all the fleeing soldiers. Maxentius drowned in the Tiber, ending his reign, and Constantine's victory, attributed by him to divine intervention, left him as undisputed leader in the West. In the years immediately following his victory at the Battle of the Milvian Bridge, Constantine consolidated his position as the undisputed ruler in the West. He formed a pragmatic alliance with Licinius, the newly recognized Augustus in the east, to stabilize the empire and secure his authority. Together, they issued the Edict of Milan in 313 CE, which granted religious tolerance and legalized Christianity across the Roman Empire, ending official persecution of Christians and marking a transformative shift in imperial policy. Although Constantine and Licinius initially maintained a pragmatic alliance after Milan, relations between them soon began to deteriorate. The uneasy peace was undermined by mutual suspicion, political rivalry, and religious tensions. Constantine increasingly championed Christianity, while Licinius, although outwardly supportive of religious tolerance, was viewed as reverting to pagan sympathies and allegedly persecuting Christians in the East. Diplomatic incidents, such as disputes over the treatment of each other's supporters, resulted in hostilities breaking out in 314 CE. This state of civil war lasted for 10 years and culminated in a decisive confrontation in 324 CE. Constantine's superior military strategy and the loyalty of his troops enabled him to defeat Licinius at the battles of Adrianople and Chrysopolis. Licinius was captured and, though initially spared, was later executed on Constantine's orders. With the death of Licinius, the Roman Empire once more had a sole emperor, officially ending the failed tetrarchic experiment. Over the following years, Constantine began rebuilding and expanding the city of Byzantium. Strategically located on the Bosphorus at the crossroads of Europe and Asia, it controlled key trade and military routes, but it also distanced Constantine from the old senatorial elite of Rome and allowed him to shape a new imperial centre. He renamed it Nova Roma, New Rome, and was officially dedicated on May 11, 330 CE, with lavish ceremonies and imperial fanfare. But New Rome was only its formal name, and it quickly became known as the City of Constantine, Constantinople. Diocletian's carefully crafted tetrarchy was a bold response to an empire in peril, sharing imperial rule to address military and administrative challenges. But it dissolved soon after his abdication due to contested successions and personal ambitions. From the collapse emerged Constantine's singular reign, which I think it's fair to say would profoundly influence the future political and religious trajectory of not just the Roman Empire, but of the world. Join me next time as we look at Constantine's rule, the move to Constantinople, and his hardline approach to family disputes. But for now, thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe on the way out, and until next time, have a great day.